Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. An Indo Pacific trade bloc launched by the United States. Prime Minister Modi is the launch partners. The 13-nation trade bloc excludes China. A crucial Quad summit of 4 nations in Tokyo tomorrow. Meanwhile, Biden-China spar over a Taiwan intervention. China reacts angrily to Quad, saying it's doomed to fail. India at Davos, states lobby for investments. Adar Poonawalla tells NDTV that he hopes the new generation of vaccines will block transmission and infections. The next big political face-off, who will be India's new president? Meanwhile, Amit Shah, JP Nadda and BL Santosh hold a crucial meeting in Delhi. This as CM KCR's all-India push for an opposition candidate. The Congress still in waiting mode. Sharad Pawar may play unifier. Airports begin screening measures for monkeypox. It will focus mainly on passengers from countries where it's endemic or where there are outbreaks. A global health honour for India's Asha workers. The Prime Minister has a special shout out in his Tokyo visit, but NDTV's special report on our unsung heroes. And thank God it's raining across Delhi, UP and Uttarakhand. An 11-degree drop in Delhi heat in just 1.5 hours. The Kedarnath Yatra, meanwhile, is halted amid a heavy rain alert. There will now be no heat wave for the next 4 to 5 days in North India, says the Weather Department. Our lead story tonight, Prime Minister Modi is in Japan for the Quad summit where the leaders of 4 nations, the United States, India, Japan and Australia will meet tomorrow. There's also a review of Quad initiatives which will be on the agenda. But of course, the biggest message of Quad seems to be going to China, which said today it's doomed to fail. However, importantly today, the United States, President Biden launched the Indo Pacific Economic Framework with Prime Minister Modi and leaders of 12 other countries as well. This trade bloc excludes China. So let's go across to Akshay, who's covering this live from Tokyo. Akshay, so really the launch of that framework is something which forms a crucial trade bloc for the United States and India and other nation partners.
Well, absolutely, Sonia. If we are looking at this new initiative that has been launched by the United States, many experts are calling this as a counter of the United States to the Belt and Road initiative that China has been going ahead with. Now, this, in fact, is a very good news for India because India has been trying to counter China's growing influence in not just the Indo-Pacific region, but also the Asian region. Now, with this new initiative by the USA, not just India or the Quad members, but several other Asian countries will be part of this initiative that has been launched by the United States of America, and it is going to in fact be a counterweight to the Belt and Road initiative that China thought would be a hegemony in the entire region, not just Asia. We are also talking about Europe. So we are here covering each and every event that is taking place. It's extremely important. It is going to shape the entire geopolitics of Asia in the upcoming days, in the upcoming years. Of what happens tomorrow in Tokyo, where we are right now, and reporting each and every news and each and every event. Also, I have with me a group of entrepreneurs as well as young members of the Indian diaspora who met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Let's try and speak to them a little bit and try to understand that what exactly are their expectations from a visit like this. What are your expectations? You tell me, Arpit. You are an entrepreneur yourself. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with you today. What were you expecting?
I expected very new updates to come from India-Japan partnership. I'm very happy that Mr. Modi is here. As we know that India and Japan have been coming closer in terms of startups, in terms of human capital. The visit by the Prime Minister itself just after the end of COVID is a very strong signal that Japan and India relations are here to stay for long.
What about you? What were your expectations from the Prime Minister's visit? Were they fulfilled? What were you thinking?
Yes, I think the message was really strong because we could hear the words like the entrepreneur community, and I have been as a venture capitalist seeing India and Japan since a long time. And there was an image about Indian startups. They are very software oriented and there is a lack of, hard tech or supply chain. But now it's a strong message that we will be very active from India side, which I see a lot of capital flowing from Japan to India.
So these are certain some reactions that are coming in from these young entrepreneurs and venture capitalists from Tokyo. They met Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and their hopes are high that with such initiatives, their future and their planning will also go in the right direction. Sonia?
Right, Akshay. So let's just look at what happened today, and of course the big focus on that Quad Summit meeting tomorrow.
आपका बहुत स्वागत है। May I have your signature? May I have your signature, please?
तो कहाँ से सीख लिया तुमने हिंदी? बहुत अच्छा जानते हो। वाह। वाह। भारत एक inclusive.
A day ahead of the big Quad Summit in Tokyo, India signed up for an Indo Pacific Economic Framework led by the United States, along with 11 other countries. The initiative is seen as another move to counter China's dominance in the region. These 12 countries account for 40% of the world's GDP, and the framework is aimed at ensuring resilient supply chains, investment in clean energy, infrastructure, and setting the rules for a digital economy.
हमारे बीच resilient supply chains के तीन मुख्य आधार होने चाहिए: trust, transparency and timeliness. मुझे विश्वास है कि यह फ्रेमवर्क इन तीनों स्तंभों को मजबूत करने में सहायक होगा.
The vision for an Indo-Pacific that is free and open and secure as well as resilient, where economic growth is sustainable and is inclusive. We're writing the new rules for the 21st century economy.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, meanwhile, met with top executives of over 30 Japanese companies, inviting them to make in India for the world. A commitment on helping India with smart cities and 5G was made by the head of Japan's NEC Corporation. Among the other top CEOs Mr. Modi met were the heads of SoftBank and clothing giant Uniqlo.
India is growing very quickly. A new startup every day. New unicorns coming very quickly. I think India's future is bright.
China, however, was clearly the elephant in the room. Beijing has already reacted angrily to the Quad meeting, saying it was doomed to fail. President Biden created a stir when he said the US was ready to help Taiwan militarily if China invaded. A big departure from the stated US position, which has been one of strategic ambiguity. However, the White House backpedaled just moments later, stressing there was no change in policy.
I support the peace and stability that's going to continue and we hope to increase across the Taiwan Straits, promote freedom of navigation in the East and South China Seas, and to deter the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
After today's events in Tokyo, all eyes will now be on tomorrow's big Quad in-person meeting, which will be focused on Chinese aggression in Indo-Pacific region, Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the resulting food crisis, and the most important point will be India's position on all of these issues. In Tokyo, Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
And here's China's foreign minister speaking strongly in response to President Biden's remarks on Taiwan intervention.
中方对美方的言论表示强烈不满和坚决反对。台湾是中国领土不可分割的一部分，台湾问题纯属中国内政，不容任何外部势力干涉。在涉及中国主权和领土完整等核心利益问题上，中方没有任何妥协退让余地。任何人不要低估中国人民捍卫国家主权和领土完整的坚强决心、坚定意志、强大能力。
So the Quad meeting tomorrow, we'll be focusing on that through the day on NDTV. But let's go across now to, well, Davos, where the World Economic Forum is on, and their representatives of many states, including chief ministers, there to push for investment for their states. The Karnataka chief minister spoke exclusively to NDTV, saying that Karnataka is pushing for semiconductor manufacturing in Karnataka, given the global shortage.
Here we have got a plan where near the airport and surrounding places, about 40-50 kilometers from Bangalore, we are developing hardware and software parks. And lot of private people are also investing in IT parks.
Right.
So there is a huge space and huge facility for anybody to come. That's why for last 4 quarters, we are the #1 FDI investment, and especially in IT, hardware and software. So that itself shows that the real picture is that there is enough infrastructure in place, little away from the Bangalore, and people are ready to come there. A lot of international companies have come there, and it's going to come, and it's continued to come. The way the response is from day to day, and in not only in IT/BT, in startups, we are the leaders. In biotech, we are the leaders. In renewable energy, we are the leaders. In EV, it's going to be a EV vehicle manufacturing hub. So the saga of technical driven economic growth in all these fields will continue, and of course, as a responsible government, we will fix up the problems.
Also speaking to NDTV was Adar Poonawalla, India's vaccine guru, and he says that there's already work beginning on next generation COVID vaccines, which will actually block transmission and infection of COVID.
When are we going to be prototyping a vaccine which deals with all the strains of COVID?
Well, you know, that's well put, because the next generation vaccines, given enough time for research and development, should ideally be able to even block transmission.
Right.
And maybe in a year or two we could see, you know, a second generation vaccine that could prevent transmission also. And that's how you really work toward eradicating or minimizing the spread of a disease.
You're here in Davos because you really are hoping to bring together leaders around the world to sort of be in a position to deal with pandemics better.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's one part of it,
Yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping to use the platform here, and everyone, whether it's the world leaders or the multilateral organizations, to actually draft some sort of global pandemic treaty, which would help the global solidarity of coming together.
So when you talk about a response, the infrastructure, the hardware and the people who do this actually exists in our country.
So now we could technically make whatever India needs within 3 months, and then immediately, you know, export and support other nations as well. Now that is the level of our bandwidth, and don't forget, other manufacturers also have scaled up. So India now has roughly a 6 billion dose capacity between all the Indian vaccine manufacturers combined, maybe even 7 billion.
Right.
And I just hope we're never in that position again, but if we are, I'll tell you, there is no country that is more prepared than India.
No country more prepared than India, says Adar Poonawalla. But let's go across now to the big political headlines back here. And Akhilesh and Nidhi join me, because here it's all about the next big political face-off. So first, of course, are Rajya Sabha elections. But Akhilesh, really, that's because also of the impact on the presidential elections coming up at the end of July. Why is that so crucial, though the BJP and the government seems to be in a much more comfortable position than the opposition?
Well, that's right, because this Rajya Sabha election, which is coming just prior to the crucial presidential elections which are going to take place in July, 57 seats are to be there, for which election will take place on June 10th. And the notification is likely to be issued tomorrow, so nomination process will start tomorrow. And BJP President JP Nadda, Home Minister Amit Shah and the party General Secretary Organization BL Santosh, they had a more than 4-hour-long meeting at party President Nadda's residence. They basically did the homework, because the BJP is hopeful to win at least 20 seats out of this 57. And in the typical fashion, we have seen the BJP tries to grab extra seats. So in Karnataka, for example, BJP would try to win 3rd seat. In Uttar Pradesh, the BJP would like to win the 8th seat. And they want to complete the homework before the Prime Minister returns, so that all these names can be put before the Central Election Committee.
Right. And Nidhi, so in contrast to that, the meetings are already on at high levels. The Congress still hasn't met at all on this. KCR seems to be emerging as a dark horse who's actually going to from state to state, meeting people. Some reports saying Sharad Pawar could take the lead in unifying an opposition, even though it may be not just about the numbers game, but also about the political message that it sends out.
it seems to be, in KCR's case, possibly a testing ground for what could emerge ahead of the 2024 general election. He has been very vocal and very upfront in meeting opposition leaders over the last few months now. And you know, in the last few days alone, the Telangana Chief Minister has met Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. He's going to be meeting Mr. Devegowda and H.D. Kumaraswamy tomorrow. He's going to go on later this month to Bengal, where he's likely to meet Mamata Banerjee. That will be significant. He's already met Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar in Maharashtra. So he's met a range of political leaders, with the significant exception of the Congress, because KCR is pushing for a non-Congress, non-BJP front, and I think he'd like to see where the chips fall as far as the presidential race is concerned. He's also going to be meeting Naveen Patnaik because he's again important. He's an outlier. He's a fence sitter when it comes to the NDA, and actually all the BJP really needs is either Naveen Patnaik's support or Jagan Reddy's support, and it's sort of home free when it comes to this presidential election. The KCR clearly not keen on involving the Congress, and the Congress, I think, which is dealing with its own internal issues, has not been saying anything about the presidential election and whether they would put up a candidate, whether that would even be acceptable to the Congress at this time, to the rest of the opposition at this time, is another big point. Also remember, Sonia, that just last week Rahul Gandhi made that comment about regional parties not having the ideology to fight the BJP, and that's actually upset the Congress's own allies who are regional parties as well. So I think KCR hoping to get in on that sentiment as well.
Right, as you know, with Sharad Pawar, you can never predict his next move. So let's see what he emerges. As I said, maybe the unifier in that aspect as well. Akhilesh and Nidhi, thanks so much for joining me. Meanwhile, the other big headline, the court of Varanasi's senior most judge, the district judge, hearing the Gyan Vapi mosque case and orders by the Supreme Court, will pass orders tomorrow on when the new hearing will begin and the procedure to be followed.
The court of Varanasi's senior most judge, hearing the Gyan Vapi mosque case on orders by the Supreme Court, will pass orders tomorrow on when the fresh hearing will start and the procedure to be followed. The court will decide tomorrow on whether to hear the mosque committee's contention first that filming inside the mosque carried out last week is illegal. The court will also set a date for the hearing. The mosque committee says any filming at the mosque violates a 1991 law that prevents the alteration of the character of any place of worship in the country. The survey was ordered by another Varanasi court in April this year after 5 women from a religious organization claimed there were idols of Hindu gods and goddesses inside the mosque that is next to the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi. The survey report of the mosque, leaked to the media, speaks of a purported shivling type of object being discovered in the pond used for washing rituals inside the mosque. The pond was sealed on court orders. The 30-minute long hearing today took place at the Varanasi District Judges Court between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
We'll keep you updated on that, but the other big headline is monkeypox, which is slowly now becoming the new global epidemic with over 12 countries affected by the virus. As of date, however, there have been no confirmed or even suspected case of this in India, but India has begun screening at airports passengers who are coming from countries where this is endemic, like in Africa, or even countries where there have been outbreaks, which include some European countries. If this happens, there will be isolation of the suspected case at designated hospitals and all precaution measures taken to identify monkeypox, mainly by starting screening measures at airports from today for passengers from these countries, and all samples will be tested in the National Institute of Virology of Pune. Moving now to what's really fantastic news. Over 1 million Asha, that is accredited social health activist workers who are at the forefront of healthcare delivery in India, have received the Global Health Leaders Award 2022 in the backdrop of the current World Health Assembly, which is on. This came as the release from the World Health Organization. But the fact remains that even as they've won this, even the Prime Minister had a shout out for them in Tokyo today, saying their dedication and determination is admirable. They often complain that they are ill-treated. Their wages are just a few thousand rupees a month, yet they're out there at the forefront of various epidemics, including COVID, and risking their lives, often with not enough health care. They really are India's unsung heroes.
Pregnancies in normal times can be tough. During a pandemic, they can become anxious times for expecting mothers. With lockdowns and medical services hit, regular health checkups and any help becomes difficult. In India, especially in the rural areas, local Asha, that's accredited social health activists and the auxiliary nurse midwives, the ANMs, have formed a formidable front to ensure pregnant women and young children are looked after.
पहले हम जाते थे, क्षेत्र में काम करते थे, गर्भवती माताओं को बताते थे तुम्हें इंजेक्शन लगवाना है, तुम्हें कैसे रहना है, खान पान के बारे में बताते थे, उनकी 4 जांचें करवाते थे और उनको डिलीवरी के बारे में बताते कि तुम्हारी डिलीवरी घर पे ना हो।
Savita has been working as a community health worker in an urban slum of Gurgaon for 3 years. It is her undeterred spirit that facilitated 18 deliveries during the lockdown.
हाँ, अगर मैं डर गई तो फिर उनको कैसे समझाऊं मैं? उनको समझाया, हौसला दिया, जो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, तुम पहले जैसे रहो, ये मत सोचो जो अभी लॉकडाउन हुआ है, ये मत सोचो जो अभी बीमारी चल रहा है, हम कैसे जाएं, कैसे करें, आपको डिलीवरी हम करेंगे, पूरा जितना आपकी जरूरत है सारे पूरी करेंगे हम।
Sarita was one of those helped. She delivered her first child in May.
वायरस की वजह से हम कहाँ जाते, कैसे क्या करते, हमें कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा था, डर घबराहट सा हो गया था। समझाती हैं भी कि कैसे दवाई देना है, कैसे दूध पिलाना है, कैसे साफ सफाई रखना है।
In India, the Asha Didis and healthcare workers working on ground serve as the backbone of our country's fight against undernutrition and now COVID-19. We salute these women who are working in these tough times.
Our brilliant Asha workers. But let's go across to what's, well, the biggest headline perhaps for people in North India, and that's the rain relief which came in Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. With just 1.5 hours of rain in Delhi and Gurugram, there's an 11-degree drop in temperatures in 1.5 hours. There were, of course, traffic jams and power blackouts reported as well. But the good news is that there will continue thunder showers and moderate rain, and that the heat wave is not predicted at least for the next 4 to 5 days. So just look at the major drops in temperatures which have come up because of this, not just in Delhi but also in other cities, where in Gurugram there's been a drop of 8 degrees, Lucknow and Dehradun a drop of 4 degrees each. Here's the best of what happened today and a reality check on why our civic bodies just can't keep up.
An 11-degree temperature drop in just 1.5 hours. After a scorching couple of weeks, a major relief for Delhi, Gurugram, Noida and other bordering cities with thunderstorms, rain and strong winds felling trees.
अचानक मौसम बदल गया, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है आज के दिन।
ऐसे काफी गर्मी था ना,
बहुत गर्मी था हम लोग,
इसलिए मुझे अच्छा लगा, इसलिए आए घूमने।
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है कि बरसों बाद ही ऐसा मौसम देखने को मिला है कि अप्रैल में इतनी जल्दी गर्मी आ गई थी कि उम्मीद नहीं थी।
Flights landing in Delhi were hit badly, with nearly 19 flights diverted to nearby airports like Jaipur and Lucknow. According to the Weather Department, this was the first moderate intensity storm of this season, bringing Delhi to its coldest state this May at just 18 degrees.
Reason for this sudden downpour can be attributed to the western disturbance which is traveling across western Himalayas, and the cyclonic circulation is over Haryana and adjoining area. So now this weather system is weakening, and we can say the rain patch is traveling over western parts of Uttar Pradesh. Weather will start clearing up by afternoon and the sun will be out.
But with the rain came the region's perennial rain spoilers. Traffic jams, stuck ambulances and power cuts. Gurugram's district commissioner asked officers to stick to work from home today to prevent congestion on the roads.
परेशानी हो रही है जनता को, क्यों नहीं हो रही है परेशानी? अभी इस रूट पे कभी मैंने इस टाइम पे भी एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया था कि इतना जाम मिलेगा, इतना पानी भरा रहेगा यहाँ पर।
The weather may have given relief to the people of Delhi and of neighbouring cities, but the reality of our civic works is always a dampener. Bureau Report, NDTV.